Dr. Voyan, the mysterious scientist, has devised a new experiment in which he rewards couples with $5 million if they stay in an immaculate room for 50 days. If one of them leaves, the prize is reduced to $1 million. There is no contact with the outside world, and there is no entertainment other than each other. They can, however, obtain treats by paying for them with a portion of the prize money. Mike and Kate are today's couple, and they believe it will be easy money. Mike considers them extremely fortunate to have found this location, while Kate sees it as the second chance they deserve. She does, however, suggest that they split the money to make things easier. Mike regards her plan to invest the money as extremely boring. He envisions his future as one of partying and having a good time without having to worry about money. They explore the area after hearing the I voice remind them of the rules, and realize they weren't joking when they called it immaculate. There are only two objects in the room: a bed and a bench. There's also a simple bathroom, which they can only enter one at a time according to the rules. A red button they can use to leave. A touch screen where they can request treats. And a big clock above the exit door that counts down the time they have left in the experiment. Their meals are flavorless white shakes in a white carton that are designed to meet their daily nutritional requirements. The room also has automatic lights that change throughout the day to announce morning, afternoon, evening, and when night falls, indicating that it is time to go to bed. They can set an alarm clock on the touch screen, and while Mike intends to treat this as a vacation and sleep late, Kate sets an early alarm so she can have some sense of routine. When they go to bed on their first night, Mike tries to keep Kate busy, but she is concerned that the professor will be watching them. They end up doing it quietly under the covers because Mike insists. When morning arrives, Kate goes to the bathroom to look in the mirror and say a few affirmations to herself to keep her spirits up and her goals fresh. After showering, they both throw their clothes into the bathroom's laundry chute, and in exchange, they receive very plain pajamas with some color. To keep themselves occupied, Kate tries to figure out why Voyan is conducting this experiment, so Mike tells her about a documentary he saw about this guy's previous experiment, which ended in tragedy for a blue-collar family. Nobody knows why Voyan did everything he did. They only know he has a lot of money and enjoys using it to put people in unusual situations because he is fascinated by the human condition. Keeping themselves entertained becomes more difficult than they anticipate. Kate enjoys meditation, whereas Mike occasionally looks at the time. He also goes off on philosophical tangents about various subjects, such as the meaning of the color white, which he analyzes with all of his art school knowledge, or the direction they should brush their teeth. Kate constantly reminds him not to look at the time and to keep his eyes on the prize, but it's difficult to think positively when Mike can't even sleep well. Kate maintains her daily routine of affirmation words and making the bed. She also works hard to keep Mike's spirits up. Mike tries to exercise, primarily by running, while Kate meditates. They play hand-clapping games, Marco Polo, and even dance together. When they take off their dirty pajamas, they are given another pair that is identical. After a few weeks, something unexpected occurs. Mike discovers a bug that has infiltrated the room. Mike tries to feed it some of the meal shake after baby talking it, but as soon as he pours some on the floor, the I voice reminds them that food can only be consumed by the contestants. Mike, concerned about the bug's survival in here, requests a method of letting the little guy out while promising not to leave. Kate informs him that the speaker through which the I voice is heard does not appear to be two-way. She has already tried, prompting Mike to decide to push the button to open the door. This sparks an argument, because Kate is certain that pressing the button will result in their defeat, even if Mike does not actually leave and only extends his hand for a stupid bug. Mike tells Kate that the insect is a living being, and that she lacks compassion after putting it down, so Kate accuses him of being condescending because she isn't vegan like him. As the argument intensifies, Kate finally admits that she believes Mike is vegan only to annoy his well-off father, who provided Mike with everything he needed so he never suffered, and now he wants to have artsy street art grid. Then, Kate tries to leave the conversation, but she steps on the bug, and Mike doesn't believe her when she says it was an accident and apologizes. Mike sulks in a corner for the rest of the day until he decides he's had enough. Doing nothing is simply unhealthy. Since each of them can take 2 treats, Mike will request one even if it means taking $100,000 off their prize. Kate doesn't agree, but Mike doesn't need her approval, and his treat is a single green crayon. It's not much, but Mike can now do his art on the walls. Kate asks Mike to draw her after watching him draw for a while. Mike agrees. He refuses to do realistic portraits, however, because they are tedious. He prefers to stick to his own style, which makes Kate no longer want to model for him. Mike draws until he runs out of crayon, irritating Kate by leaving green stains all over the bathroom and the towel on the floor. Later, Kate apologizes for acting like a jerk and explains that this is more difficult than she anticipated, but at least they only have 20 days left. Days pass in boredom until Kate wakes up one morning to find a gun in the bathroom. They're too afraid to check if it's loaded, and its presence is haunting, so they hide it under the bed, because the AI forbids them from putting non-clothing objects inside the laundry chute. After some time, the couple is finally rewarded with Connect Time, which will play messages sent by their loved ones for them. Mike receives a message from his sister, who tells him how she and their parents are doing, but she also believes Mike is no longer dating Kate. Mike is overjoyed to see his sister, but Kate does not want a connection of her own and panics when the screen shows a video of her father, who is finally off the streets and living in a homeless shelter. Kate runs to hide behind the bathroom door and cries, because the video will not stop no matter what she does, and Mike comes over to comfort her. Kate, who slept by clinging desperately to her boyfriend, does not get out of bed when the alarm goes off and stays in bed all day because she is depressed. When Mike expresses his concerns, Kate explains that she hasn't seen her father in years, and that she has always lied to Mike about who he is because she is ashamed of her father and the way he drank away the house, her school fees, and her chances of growing up like a normal person. With only a little more than 2 weeks to go, Kate remains in bed while Mike tries to find new ways to entertain himself, such as smudging his crayon drawings with his fingers or reading the pajama label with as many emotions as possible, similar to those acting exercises. He tries to make Kate eat by making food jokes, but it's futile, so he ends up joining her in bed in the hopes of comforting her. It still doesn't work, and Mike will occasionally sleep on the floor just to feel different. He tries to persuade Kate to take a treat one morning, but she refuses to lose that money. Mike, who is becoming increasingly frustrated, mentions that he isn't sure he can do this anymore, which finally motivates Kate to get out of bed. But before she showers, she tells Mike to take his second treat, even if it costs $250,000. Mike does so, and is surprised to see the door open, allowing a naked woman named Simone into the room. She knows nothing about the project. She's just an actress getting paid for a gig that required her to sign a slew of NDAs, and while she was booked for a month, her agent said she'll probably only be there for 24 hours. Kate dislikes her presence and makes Mike give her his t-shirt so Simone can cover up a little. Simone notices and praises Mike's art, even recognizing the influences, which irritates Kate even more. When it's time to sleep, Mike offers to sleep on the floor while the girls sleep in the bed, and Simone offers to stay awake while they sleep. Kate is irritated by their attempt at decorum and decides they can all sleep in the same bed as long as she sleeps in the middle. Kate is having trouble sleeping that night. Kate doesn't find Simone on the bed in the morning and assumes she's gone, but she's actually in the bathroom. Kate, unable to take it any longer, decides to have a treat and receives a small box containing 3 fun candies. Kate takes one right away and offers one to Simone, but Mike only accepts one after much hesitation. They all start dancing and flailing around the room. They also exchange a couple of group kisses. After a while, however, Mike begins to have a bad trip, seeing blood everywhere and dreaming he's underwater while watching his younger brother fall with him. Mike is brought back to reality by the women, but he is still panicking and asking to leave while mentioning Sean and drowning. Kate is forced to drag him back to bed and comfort him until he falls asleep. Following that, Simone inquires as to what Mike had been discussing, and Kate informs her that Mike's younger brother Sean drowned in the family pool while Mike was supposed to babysit him, which makes Mike feel guilty to this day. Mike was high at the time, which added insult to injury and explains why he was hesitant to accept the candy here. Simone inquires about how they met, and Kate recalls Mike approaching her on a rainy day and offering to catch all the raindrops so she wouldn't get wet. When Mike finally awakens, Simone reveals that she lost her mother when she was a child, and the two of them bond over loss and grief. Simone holds Mike's hand to comfort him, and when Kate sees them, she panics, believing Simone is planning to steal her boyfriend. Simone criticizes Kate's attitude, pointing out that she lashes out because she is insecure, which sparks an argument. Kate tries to apologize, admitting that it was most likely nothing she saw, but Simone adds fuel to the fire by implying it wasn't. Mike isn't feeling well the next morning, but Kate has focused on other things. Simone has finally left, but there's a message from her written in green crayon on the wall, thanking Mike for a wild night. Kate is terrified, not listening to Mike when he explains that he did nothing wrong, and that this is, like the gong, something the room is doing to mess with them. Kate, in her rage, pushes Mike to the ground, injuring his head and causing him to bleed. She takes a step back from Mike, remembering that he's never cheated on her, even when she moved to New York. He also stopped seeing his ostensibly wealthy friends to avoid making her uncomfortable, and he dropped out of college to stay at home with her when she was depressed. Yet all he receives in return is jealousy. Kate continues to apologize, but their conversation is cut short when Mike begins to feel dizzy as a result of the wound. He truly believes he requires medical attention, but Kate brings him some of the meal shake so he can get some sugar into his system, and covers his wound with a towel, reminding Mike that the contract states that medical intervention is not permitted. Mike can't believe what he's hearing and begins to wonder if Kate genuinely cares. His wound heals quickly and stops bleeding, but he is afraid of how far she would have gone if it had been worse. Maybe she would have let him bleed for money. Mike decides to leave, inviting Kate to do the same, because he hates what this place has done to them and realizes money will not fix how broken they are. Kate, on the other hand, refuses, pointing out that he can talk like this because he's always had money, and she even retrieves the gun to threaten him into staying. Mike, on the other hand, ignores her and presses the button, finally leaving the room just a few days before victory. Kate sees the raindrop drawing on the wall after laying around and freaking out in the shower, inspiring her to approach the button as well and consider her options with only 2 days left. Many months later, Mike, who is now single, is out for a run when he sees Kate emerge from a building. They haven't seen each other since the room, and decide to go for a walk to catch up. But when Mike asks Kate if she won or left the room, she dodges the question. At the very least, she apologizes for what happened. As they walk away, the building reveals itself to be a homeless shelter, with a plaque stating that an anonymous donation enabled them to construct the new kitchen. Meanwhile, a new couple arrives in the Immaculate Room to take on the challenge. Make sure to subscribe and enable the notification bell to see more videos like this. Thank you for tuning in.